Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly. How about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you!
In for Henrik Larsson. And Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic!
Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. My name is Ryan Clifford and join me on this Will the Risk Pay Off Celtic versus FC Kairat playoff preview is my good man Alan and my other good man Daniel. Well lads, massive game for us tonight. A lot of negativity in the last few weeks and it's all building towards tonight's game in terms of the qualifying playoff round. But Alan, it's big positivity towards tonight. Hopefully go and get the... shall we call it? I was going to say the 3 points here, but it's a playoff round. It's not 3 points. It is to go and obviously take a good performance over the Celtic in Kazakhstan, which we all know will be tough, Alan. So it is about getting a good result tonight. But how are you, Alan? Hope you're well and are you looking forward to the game tonight?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Morning, everyone that's watching. Yeah, very well. I'm looking forward to tonight. I think we all know it's a massively important night for us financially. The tie could be kind of monumental in terms of our finance, but I think we've got enough of that sitting in the bank just now, so it just kind of doesn't really matter either way. But no, I think in all seriousness, we're just the prestige to kind of qualify for the Champions League as well. We obviously seen last night another team from Glasgow getting kind of scalped a wee bit, so we're hoping that we can go out and do the opposite and make sure that we probably do enough tonight to kind of right after tie to kind of make sure we're qualifying. You'd like to get into next week that long journey. I think you probably the length of that journey is probably 7-8 hours or something. You need the NASA space shuttle to get there, so I think we probably want to get a very comfortable lead tonight, and hopefully that just settles us and basically takes care of the tie. But I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, kind of Celtic Park under the lights, and hopefully it's a good performance and a great result. Hope you guys are well.
Yeah, like you say, Aaron, hope for a good performance. Before we kind of get into the pod, if there's anybody in the comments, welcome. Hope you have a good Wednesday morning so far. If there's anything you want us to touch upon, if it's the team lines, the deadline, obviously not signing players, if it's the actual game itself, or anything in particular you want to give us to chat about, and anything you want to talk about, then myself, Daniel and Alan will touch on anything you want to speak about. So anything at all, we'll happy to chat about. But Daniel, as Alan says there, mate, it is a massive game for us financially and prestige of obviously getting into the Champions League once again. It's good for the fans as well to go and experience maybe away days, etc., and to go and experience good football players that play at the highest level, mate. So it's a massive game. Hope you're well, mate, and you're looking forward to it.
Aye, good morning, everybody that's watching. Good morning, boys at home with us. Hope everybody's well. Aye, it's a huge match, just in terms of prestige and finances, but I think the Champions League is something we've grown accustomed to now over the last couple of years. So it's a huge game to make sure that we are playing at the highest level of football that we want to be playing at. And hopefully we do manage to get the bulk of the job done tonight at Celtic Park with the fans, with the lights, with the noise, and just make it as less of a task in the second leg as possible.
I think that's probably the big thing I would say, Alan, for me. It's to try and minimise any risk if possible into the second leg, because even though the last time we went to Kazakhstan we had a massive lead and due to maybe not seeing the game out as much and maybe defensively not been great over there, we nearly lost the tie. It was squeaky bum time near the end, so we don't want that again. So again, we don't really know how much, how good this team are, how good the league is, but you're going to, I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but you're probably going to be honest and say, right, it's maybe no great. There's maybe got some good players, but the level that we played at years gone past, some of the level our players have played at, on paper, it shouldn't be a match. It should be a mismatch. Obviously, if you're a betting man or you're a betting woman, you understand odds. Celtic are absolutely clear as day, and normally the bookies aren't they wrong. 9 times out of 10, that's why the bookies are minted. So I think Celtic are 1 to 10, 1 to 12 in certain places. So while in terms of that side, everything's going in Celtic's favour, but you still need to show respect to your opponent. You can't disrespect them. But you'd like to think, Alan, that you'll hopefully get a few goals, at least ideally 3, I would say, to take over there, Alan, and maybe, as McGregor says in his press notes we'll touch on, you're a wee bit more comfortable and then you can maybe see the game out over there.
Yeah, definitely. You know that we've seen it in the past. It can be tricky when you're travelling over there. On kind of coefficient, on all the evidence and facts we have that Celtic should be beyond this team in regards to kind of quality, experience, etc. But the way we've maybe been lacking that cutting edge in the last few games, that's what maybe needed tonight, because I think we're probably looking for a 2 or 3 goal minimum advantage you'd want to go over there with. I think you mentioned with the odds, astronomical, the crazy odds that we're getting on kind of Celtic. I think the Kazakhstan team, can't say that right, that's a tongue twister. But the Kazakh team, they're kind of way odds again. So you're looking at for the people that don't bet, I think there's more chance of Donald Trump kind of doing handstands in my driveway rather than that team winning. That's the way it probably looks. So we don't want to take anything for granted. Obviously, we've seen in the past that surprises do happen, that you do get kind of turn up for the books. But I would like to think that tonight should be a comfortable game if we can play to our full capabilities. If we can show the quality that we have within our team, then I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have a comfortable victory. Touch wood.
No, I'm agreeing with you, Alan. Obviously, I know everybody who does have a wee flutter in the football or anything else gamble responsibly. But if you don't know, like Alan says, anything about betting, it should be a foregone conclusion if you go by the bookmakers. So in terms of that, Daniel, I agree with Alan. I would say, I know he said 2 there, but I'm going to be honest, I would say at least 3, because if you go over 2-0 and they score first early doors, it's squeaky bum time. So I know that obviously there's no away goal rule type thing now, which I don't know if it helps you or doesn't help you, but a lot of people might say it doesn't help you. But I think it is about getting, first of all, Daniel, I would say a good performance to get into the rhythm of the game, and it's a pressure. I know every game's a pressure game at Celtic, but this is a massive game because we've seen last night, obviously, Club Brugge, how good they are, and they're not at full pump yet. How good they were last year against us, so that's the level we can get at. We've seen the night and day for the teams last night, us to them, obviously last season. So it's the level for the Champions League to Europa League for me is night and day. Do the players really want to play in that? Probably no. The fans, it's still good to go away. It's still good to win a European competition. But I think, like you mentioned, Daniel, everything about this competition, it's where you want to be. So I think going over there we are at least 3, again, winning the tie, if it's 1-0 is brilliant. Just go there with a lead. But I think to be a bit more comfortable, obviously, we'll see how they are tonight, Daniel, how they set up. You'll see the first 5-10 minutes how they're going to be, and you'll kind of get a judge, because I know it's not the actual format yet, mate, but the game against Bratislava, I wasn't too sure about it. I was like, I don't know how they are, but you've seen after 5-10 minutes, like this is going to be quite comfortable just to get the first goal, and we'll push on. So we'll maybe see how that'll be tonight, if that's going to be the case. But I think it's been cautious to start off with, see how they are, Daniel, and then hopefully get an early goal. And like like Alan says, under the lights, the fans will be raring to go, and it's hopefully going to be a comfy night for us, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Like Alan says, I think we're hoping tonight will be the biggest. This is the biggest opportunity for that cutting edge to make its appearance fully and show that we are the standard. We are where we should be to be playing this level of football. Obviously, that this team will probably be coming over, maybe looking to get it back to Kazakhstan at a reasonable scoreline. So, yeah, like you says, I think it might be a case of first 5-10 just trying to figure out what they're trying to do, and then if we manage to get an early goal, it'll set us on a good path to hopefully taking a comfortable victory. Because like we said, we are very strong favourites, but nothing's a given in football. So we need to make sure that if our chances are coming, that we are taking them and that we do everything we can to take a long haul flight with a positive scoreline.
I think that's the thing, Alan. It is take a positive result over there. Obviously, any victory will do, but I think in terms of a cushion going over there, obviously because we've seen the last time, ideally it would be a few goals, mate. But do you think he'll, in terms of the team lines, Alan? Obviously, there's chat about Ida, Maeda, etc. Do you think that's the way to go with Dizan through the middle? We obviously seen them across the water last night. How poor defensively they are. So with this game, obviously, and then that game in mind as well next weekend, would you go with Dizan through the middle? Hopefully by next week we've got a winger or two to go with that. But do you think Dizan's probably the key player tonight for us if he plays for the middle? Because we all know how quick he is, how fit he is, his intensity, his aggressiveness. Do you think he's a key man for us tonight, mate, if he plays up front? Or in general, do you think he's a key man for us?
So always a very important player for us. You know what kind of impact he can have in games, whether that's kind of chasing players down, pressing. His goals last year obviously are turned out to be massive. But I can't see him playing through the middle tonight for one reason. I would like to play him through the middle. I think he's our best option through the middle. But I think we're kind of ostracised because we've not got many options out wide. I think we'll be forced to kind of play. I don't want to say forced, but I think we'll play either through the middle because there's no that many options. We're going into, if we play Maida through the middle, then who is going to play the wing? So you talked about James Forrest and Yang. I know there's been shouts for Benji Negrin to play out there, but I think it's clearly seen that he's not a winger. He looks like a very talented, tidy footballer, but I don't see him. He's got that kind of burst of pace to be a winger for me. I think Brendan's already alluded to it as well, that in one of his interviews was last week, he says he's been forced to play a midfielder out wide. That was in Benji Negrin. So I think it will be kind of worst case scenario that he would play Negrin out there. So I would anticipate that he will play Ida with Maida and Forrest in the wings. But personally, in an ideal world, if we had wingers in, I would have no doubt that I would be going with Dice and Maida through the middle. But it just so happens that circumstances at present, I think that's stopping us from kind of playing maybe our best formation and best team and in the best positions. I mean, so I thought about that. I'd seen Brown Warriors comments about Negrin, and it was very, very respectful of him. I think he could do a job out there, but I think a lot of the time tonight that team are going to be defending, and whereas you need that somebody with that yard of pace maybe that's going to kind of get by a man and get the cross in. I think that's maybe why he'll stick to the likes of Maida and Forrest. I could well be wrong, but I can't see him playing Negrin on the wing. But I wouldn't be opposed to it if he did play that, because as I say, I think that Dice and Maida definitely is our best option through the middle in an ideal world. But as we speak, we're not in an ideal world, far from it.
In terms of Negrin, Daniel, there's a few people in the chat speaking about Negrin and obviously Alan mentioned him there. Do you think he could play out wide, or even if again I'm not really into all these terms. I just like to play 4-4-2 or 3, whatever you're playing. I just like to play either centre mid or striker, centre back, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
could you play him as like a false winger or what these terms are now, or could you play him as a 10? I don't know how you play him, but do you think Negrin will play? And do you think playing him out wide, if you want to call it a false winger type thing, then puts Maeda through the middle and it gives you more going forward that way?
I would definitely say Maeda is probably our best option going through the middle, but with regards to Negrin, I think if we were going to see him play that kind of a wing role at Celtic, Brendan would have maybe already trialled it, maybe midway through a game or like in the cup game. But so I don't think we will see Negrin play out wide. I think we will see Adamida start through the middle, but it's a great opportunity for Adamida to actually try.
Another one.
I know, mate, another one, but it's a whole different platform for him to go and just show any ounce of what he can do. Do you know what I mean? Because we know he can show flashes. So tonight, if he does get that starting jersey, it's another great opportunity for him to actually show us it. I do think Dyson Maeda is our best option up front, but just with the thinness of the wings, I would say we'll most likely see Dyson play on the left and Ida play through the middle.
Obviously, Alan, the pressers were out yesterday. Touch on McGregor, obviously. I thought he spoke really well. Again, you talk about captains. I just think the way he speaks, I think he's definitely got a career in coaching and managing, because the way that he's got an aura about him for me, the way he speaks, and you can see that he's very well media trained, he's very well educated, the way he speaks and experience. Obviously been in these competitions, experience of being a Celtic player and obviously living here and this fishbowl and everything that goes with it. You look across the road, you've got Tavernier, the way he talks pressers, it's night and day the way he handles himself. For me, McGregor, he obviously mentioned about his no staying still. We can't stay still. We need to buy quality. It's not numbers, it's quality. And he basically was kind of saying some of the things that the fans were saying, but he was obviously saying it in a way where he was still saying that, listen, we need to concentrate on what we've got now, and the players here, we're working hard, we're doing well, and how big a competition is, etc. So what was your take on Callum's presser, and do you think he was pretty spot on everything he said?
Yeah, as always, for captain Cal McGregor, I think he's always professional. He's always very articulate. He's always well spoken. He's got a great knowledge of the game, great knowledge of the club. I think there was a few underlying comments maybe that he's made that people have picked up on with regards to quality being brought in. And as I says to you guys, we're in the morning. It's probably one of the biggest games of our season. I know we should be winning this, but the impact it would have if we win this, it gives you that kind of Champions League position. So I would usually you would want to get into this game and you're feeling absolutely over the moon, 100% positive. But I think, including Callum's interview and Brendan's yesterday, you're starting to notice some worrying signs, like very worrying. Like we'll go to Brendan's comments soon, but I think just his whole demeanour, his body language, he just looked underwhelmed. He just looked beat up a bit. He just looked as if he'd been asked these questions far too many times, and he didn't have any answers for it. But with Callum, he's just come out and says that basically we need quality, like every fan knows. And I'm trying to stay massively positive for tonight because of how big tonight's game is. But I think after we're done with kind of tonight's game, hopefully we get the win. I think there are points that need addressed regarding the interviews, because it's clear to see there's massive red flags coming out that there is issues here. There's issues that we can't get away from it anymore. So All right.
I think Brown Warrior was speaking to you, Alan. Could we see a shift in the game tactics with Maeda cutting inside and KT pushing up to make a 4-4-2?
It's another great point. I wouldn't be adverse to that. I think if we should have a few options in regards to kind of formations and tactics. I think there should be kind of plan B, C, D, E, F, etc. We should be looking at that. But Brendan seems great manager, but he seems a bit kind of stubborn in the way that he sets up. Maybe changed slightly last year when we were away to Atalanta. I think that's probably the only time we've seen him kind of change his way of thinking, kind of tactically. I can't see him changing his formation at all. As I say, I wouldn't be adverse to it. I wouldn't be against it. I'd probably be for it if it was going to benefit us. And the idea of kind of KT pushing further up isn't a bad idea at all. But I just, when I'm looking at it realistically, I just believe that Brendan won't change his formation. I think you look at 99.9% of the time that he's been Celtic manager, it's been the same formation and basically the same tactics that he's shown. So I don't see tonight it's going to be any different. I think especially when we're going to have the kind of lion's share of the ball. I think the possession will probably be high majority for Celtic. So I don't see him changing that. I just don't think he would change it because we haven't got the ideal personnel to fit the system just now because of the lack of cutting edge and lack of quality we've got in the wing positions.
I think in terms of KT, I think he's able to push up. For me, Daniel, like Brown Warriors mentioned there and Alan's mentioned, I've always been a fan of 4-4-2. Just keep it simple. If it's a big man, wee man up front, two flying wingers, you've got two good fullbacks and your two midfielders. You've got maybe a defender who can be a ball play centre back, can play like Ayer used to do. Whereas Vickers can kind of do it, but somebody that then passes to midfield and they go wing or go up front. Just for me, I think Guardiola's he's changed football to a way that I don't like. People keep playing this 4-3-3 and this 4-3-2, whatever, all these mad formations and like you say, false nines and false eights and false sixes. For me, you're just a 6 and 8's two centre mids. If you're a 11 or a 10, you're out wide, you're a number 10, that's it. Simple as that. But I can see Tierney being able to push forward and if need be. But in terms of obviously McGregor's presser, in terms of what Alan and Brown Warrior were talking about there, what's your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, I think Callum, as usual, spoke very, very strongly. Don't think we've ever really seen a Callum McGregor presser where he's kind of put his foot in it. He's very he's very good at sort of the media stuff. Great knowledge of the game, stuff like that. So he knows. But we did see a couple of wee maybe indicators of what is going on. Like they are hoping for some quality in the door. But we're just gonna. I think it's reached a point when we see with Brendan, he looks depleted when he's getting asked the same questions constantly. So I think it might just be a case of waiting now, and just hoping that something happens towards the end of the window. Would we have liked to seen it straight away? Yeah, but I don't see us now doing that. I think it will be more likely the end of the window that people start to come in. But yeah, just with KT pushing up, we've seen him do it in the past in Europe. We've seen a slight formation change. Obviously, we've seen Scott Brown kind of dropping in a bit, allowing Kieran Tierney to bomb up that wing. I don't think with the technical ability of Callum McGregor nowadays, I don't think we'll see that as much. But Kieran showed already that he's able to get up and down, no bother, and support Maeda. So I think it will be a case of sticking in the formation, but when Kieran is pushing up, it won't be as often as before. But 4-4-2 seems to be the most balanced formation you can get. I think that's what football is all about. It's about finding the most balance and what works. And if a formation's stuck for as long as 4-4-2 has, then surely there's something in it. But yeah, we know Brendan. We know he likes to stay with what he's got. So I think I don't think we'll see a wee formation change, but it wouldn't hurt. This is a probably, well, like you said, we're massive odd favourite. So if there is going to be any game, if we are a bit comfortable, 1-2 up early, maybe soon, then it is the game to do it. If you're sitting comfortably.
No, I think it's a very valuable point there, Daniel. If you are 3-0 up at half time, I hope that happens, but you could then maybe change a wee bit in the second half, but obviously not too much because we've seen, for me last night, Bruges kind of stepped off a bit before the game was finished and then they stepped up again when they so I think that you don't want to do that. You don't want to give any team glimmer of hope. But obviously, you mentioned we'll dive into Brendan's pressure just a wee bit, then we'll touch more on the game tonight and obviously a bit about the transfers in terms of the way how Club Brugge are working and for me how we could be similar to that. So in terms of obviously Brendan's pressure, the eye opener for me, Alan, was the fact that a brilliant question get asked him, and I think obviously we're no privilege to the fan media side, we're no on Celtic Park doing that, but the great question I think was from Celtics are here. Aaron, I think, mentioned to Brendan about Nicholson saying about us being world class and what we do and things like that, and Brendan went, well, I don't know about first class, world class, sorry. But we also need to be strategically, everything's got to be structurally, everything's got to be brilliant. I know he's not going to come out and say anything bad, Alan, but for me that was a wee bit, whoa. He didn't say, he didn't dodge a question, he bluntly says, I don't know about world class, so there's obviously things behind the scenes that he wants still to be better. Obviously, before he came back, he's obviously been told things, if it's Dermot Desmond, Chris Mackay, Nicholson, Law, whoever's obviously, I know Dermot Desmond, I think, and Mackay and Nicholson that said I went over there to see him and obviously chat to him in Mallorca and stuff and deal with that side of it. Well, I know Desmond's the main guy getting this involved. I think he would be because he is obviously the major shareholder, majority of the club, and but he seems to make a lot of decisions by the face of it, unless we know otherwise. That's what we can take from it. I was a wee bit, right. He didn't have thing back on that, Alan.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think the whole interview was very, very concerning. I think the amount of times, I've seen there was a comment there saying it as well, the amount of times he says, I don't know your questions. He says, I really wish I could answer all your questions and I'm trying my utmost to do that. But it's just concerning that we're 11 days or something, 11 days before the end of the transfer window, and we desperately need probably about 4 players in at a minimum. And that's without anybody leaving. He just looks so demoralised. He's answering these questions and he's trying that for the fans. The guy's there. He's trying to answer as many as he can, but there's only so many times you could kind of say, I don't know, before you start realising there's something behind the scenes that's not quite right. He basically came out and said, I'm a football coach, I want the players in. I'd want the players in just now, but I need to go with what I've got just now. So he's that's not his choice. He would have wanted these players in. If he had more of an input in these kind of transfer dealings, I'm sure we would have had. We might not have had every player in, but I'm sure we would have had kind of more. And it just seems as if he's been kind of shunned to the side with the hierarchy. And we were on a few months ago and we've been speaking about kind of will Brendan sign a new deal? Not a hope. Not a hope. The way he's been treated, I think people might like or dislike Brendan, but you can see that he's professional in the way he speaks. He's professional in the way he conducts himself. And you could just tell the underlying comments that he's a smart man. He's putting them out for a reason. He knows what's going on. And I just think that he looked scunnered. I think that was the word that you used as well, Ryan. He looked scunnered. And as I say, we want to stay positive going into this very important game. But I think after this game's done, I think there's a lot need addressing because it's clear to see that there's problems. And for one, I think that Brendan's shown that he's definitely not happy with what's going on with the kind of business, the the club are conducting.
I think Daniel, like Alan says there, he's definitely, some of the comments as well have said it, he's definitely sick of it, getting asked about it. There's only so many things he can say. And obviously after the game last week against Falkirk, he got asked about will anybody be in, and by Tuesday he's like, I don't know. I'm just finished the game. I don't know. I'll speak to the guys up the stem. We'll see. He was a wee bit pissed off with it. I think he's annoyed with getting asked the same question. So, somewhat his presser yesterday, a guy asked him, well, you're probably wanting the end of the window, and I think he's probably wanting this, get this tie done, whether they're gambling or not, well, what you think or not, get this tie won, and then get players in hopefully the last week of the window, and then we can hopefully try and relax and we can get back to obviously the football side. But in terms of his presser, Daniel, was that the only thing that was the biggest thing for me? That was the biggest thing. That it was not alarming, but it was about, oh, he didn't say no, or he didn't dodge a question. For me, that's a question that Michael Nicholson should be getting asked, and that's the questions that the board should be dealing with. For me, that's not something the manager should be getting asked, because he's dealing with the football side. He should be dealing with that. He shouldn't have to be answering all these questions about the board or the hierarchy or the transfers or the money. And I think for me, Alan, but he seems here, he's dealing with a lot of things that potentially he might know, he shouldn't be maybe dealing with it. Daniel, sorry.
Yeah, I think that presser was the biggest kind of a indication of his frustration with the constant asking of the same questions, which is only natural because he's there to talk about the football. He's there to talk about the games upcoming and just happened, and he's getting hit with the same questions over and over and over again. And it can get frustrating, and I understand that. But if he is unhappy and he is getting a bit annoyed, then that's kind of a speaking volume of either the business being done or the lack of it that he's wanting. Like you says, that question about world class, that is definitely a question that should not be getting asked to the manager of the club, because he wasn't brought in to deal with that. He wasn't brought in to be financial advisor or business manager. He was brought in to be first team manager. So, and there's no one on the higher ups that's answering these kind of questions. So that's why Brendan's getting asked. So I can understand his frustration there. But yeah, hopefully tonight it's a bit more of a positive atmosphere, and the questions are more directly focused on the challenge of Kairat.
But you do know, Daniel, that even if we win the game by a few goals, you'll probably still get mentioned. You'll probably have an interviewer saying, well, maybe the tie's maybe nearly finished. Who are you going to bring in after it and stuff? But I think for me, Alan, I think it's we have got to be massively positive on the game tonight. But one thing I do want to touch on is obviously the team last night, who we seen, who I know that team across the water were pretty poor, but that's a pretty decent Bruce team. The model that they work towards, the players have bought, the financial implications that they've done by selling players and recruiting players and stuff. So this is what they've brought in to help them for the Champions League. So some of these guys, one of the guys was actually brought in yesterday, before the game, a day before the game. So they've spent €9 million, 0.5 on Stankovic. They spent 8.5 in Daiko. I can't remember his name. 6 million on the Italian German striker. Forbes, who was actually decent yesterday, €6 million. And the guy came off the bench, Reece, 6 million. So there we go. I think that's about 30 million roughly off the top of my head. I'm not the best at maths, but on that. And this is what they actually sold. So they brought in a lot of money. €36 million, 20 million, 25 and 700 grand. So to say that we can't do that, in terms of, I think there's no excuses for us not to get certain players. I'm not saying you need to follow that model, but they've signed 4 or 5 players before the playoff. They've signed guys with a decent amount of quality decent profiles, decent ages, decent bracket of money. They've no spent £15 million on one player. I know they've not qualified yet, but you'd like to think they'll go and now beat Rangers and qualify, and they'll get that money back that they've spent. And that's everything the majority of Celtic fans have been saying. Make sure you qualify. Listen, we player will qualify at this, right? I'll be very, very shocked if we don't, right? But that doesn't change everything. That just because we qualify and then in the last week we might go and sign, I hope a day, go and sign 4 brilliant players worth that money. Brilliant. But it doesn't take away that the fact that the process is again late and you're potentially gambling with the future of the club.
In theory, that is the transfer model that we were looking at. It's just that we've no went forward in that manner. We've no bought anybody. We've been too cautious. We should be looking to progress in every part. So, like if we sell Nicholas Kuhn for whatever it was, 17 million, should be looking to bring somebody in somewhere between 6 and 10 million, and then we bought Nicholas Kuhn for 3 million. So instead of 17, then we can go up that other echelon to maybe 25, 30 million if somebody succeeds. That's the way our club should be run. I don't see any reason why it's not. We know publicly how much money we've got in the bank. And now people are getting excited about kind of the prospect of Jamie Vardy coming in a free transfer. So I'm just bamboozled to what's actually going on. The way that Club Brugge are doing their business is spot on, absolutely spot on. And you can see that with the results, you can see that with the performances, you can see that the way they played against us last year as well. That first half, I think they dismantled Celtic. Celtic played a lot better in the second half, and it was Dyson Maida, Curler winner. It was a cracker that got the equaliser. So there's no excuses here for us not to be at that level. They might be selling players just now for 30 odd million, but we have kind of in the past. When you look at Jota, when you look at Matt O'Reilly, maybe not as much because of Nicholas Kuhn, but it's been of that level. So there's no reason why we can't follow a kind of transfer model that's similar to that. And at the minute, I think it's maybe a Lego model than a transfer model.
In terms of that, mate, listen, we're not going to go back on everything that we've been saying because it's all trying to push forward and be positive and look forward to this game. But you can't get away from it. That obviously, Daniel, that things need to change after this transfer window. Depending on how the next kind of week or two goes in terms of what happens in next week or the last week of the window. Bear in mind, next week's the last week, I think, isn't it? In the window, is that right? And you've still got a playoff game and you've got a derby game. So it's a massive week next week for everybody that's in the club, the players, the manager, the recruitment team, the hierarchy, board level. Everybody's going to be hands on deck next week to make sure they win the 2 games and you get some quality add to the team. So, but in terms of that, Daniel, I think no matter what happens this window, whether I know we will sign players, we will sign good players, but it's the process behind it. If Brendan's going to stay, I think there has to be a proper, full-blown meeting about what's going to happen next January and next summer if he's going to stay, because this process cannot continue. We can't keep thinking we're going to buy cheap and sell on. Not every single player we buy cheap is going to be brilliant, and I know every player is going to go for mega money. You can buy players for now. They don't need to be 22, 23 to sell on for 30 million. You can buy a 28-year-old striker, keep him for 2 years. He brings you success. He might go for nothing. He might go for a few million, but he's helped you speculate to accumulate, get success on the park, and you'll get success off the park.
Yeah, and I think that'll be the biggest catalyst for if Brendan stays, because we've seen he's dropped some quite ominous comments about if it's a club looking to progress, he's the manager, but if it's a club looking to stay still, he's not the man. So he is looking to get that progression. It's just whether his ideas and his visions for what he wants and who he wants is matched. Because we've seen over a number of years, sometimes it can be a bit of a frustration, and then it's like a cycle almost. Obviously, we've broke that with automatic qualification, but now we're back to a couple of guys in the door early. Oh, this looks good. Get to Champions League qualifiers. Numbers have went a bit stale. Play the qualifiers. Sometimes we get through it, sometimes we don't. Then quality comes in the window. We do end up having a successful season, and then it's rinse and repeat. So I think the biggest frustration for everybody is wanting to see that difference in getting people in the door, not overpaying late in the window, and making sure we're in the strongest position possible to breeze through qualifiers. Obviously, nothing is a given, and we're in a very positive position now with the fixture that we've got, but it's still a wee bit of a risk in taking that how thin those wings are, because we, like it or lump it, we are an injury on the wing away from a bit of a crisis for players, really. So yeah, sometimes we are a bit too harsh, but yeah, I think everyone just wants to see the difference in what, like we've been saying, of right, let's get this quality in the door as quick as possible, as soon as possible, like we've seen from other outfits like Club Brugge, who have managed to do it, and the quality's there because they've just put themselves in a fantastic position to go and qualify for the Champions League and bring that money in.
Like you mentioned about overpaying and stuff, Daniel, the longer it goes in the window, the longer you might not get your targets. We don't know everything behind the scenes, so there could be guys that are wanting to come to Celtic, but we having to wait on their qualifiers or how their squad shape them up. But I think the JP and Alan spoke about it all night, and I think Alan mentioned, I think JP did agree with me in a way as well, that we should not be waiting on somebody to decide to go to Celtic. If it's European football or no, you come to Celtic to play with Celtic. This team, the manager, the history, the fan base, progress your club. Obviously, it helps being in the Champions League, but that shouldn't be the be-all and end-all, because you should be coming to then help that team get to that level. But again, Alan, the last wee bit on that, and then we'll touch on the game in a bit more in depth. I do agree that we've all spoken about, the majority of the fan base is, it's all right saying signing players. Listen, we know we're going to get players in, but one, like McGregor says, is it the quality, as the manager mentioned as well, is it going to help the team in terms of squad depth? And also, this club is what we've done so far, the hierarchy have been brilliant for us in terms of the model that's set up, the way we are and everything else, but the way that football's moving forward, if we keep signing players the last week of the window, we're not going to progress in terms of the way football's moving forward. It's no modernisation. You can tweak models, you can change. Football has to change. When football changes, we need to change. And I'm starting to really believe now, I think it's a Celtic Underground podcast, they also know about people in the club and stuff. I'm starting to really, really say the things that they said about Desmond with the £3 million deals not getting signed off unless he signs it off. The Arnie Engels and Ida deals were a lot lesser than they were. Dermot Desmond left at ages, didn't sign it off and with to pay more. Benjamin Seagrass says in his interview, his podcast, that there was inquiries for him. The club didn't answer it. If that's the case, and like I said to JP last week yourself, that can't happen, mate.
I don't know where to start. Honestly, see, I just don't get, right, everybody's got a right to opinions, right, but see people say, oh, well, it's all right, players will come in, we're going to sign players. It happens every year. So because it's a tradition, does that mean it's just a right to be absolutely incompetent? Is that, it's like, it happens every year, so we'll not improve on that. We'll not make sure we're better prepared. That's like, I remember when I was away, my dad used to leave it to Christmas Eve to go get my ma's Christmas present to the bars last minute. And let's be honest, they were utter shite. So we're sorry for not very well. And you're looking
that's a penny as well, Jar.
I never swear, but it's just annoying. And you're looking at, see if you prepare, just like that, if you prepare for your Christmas shopping, if you get it all in before, then you know you're getting a higher calibre. Now we're just accepting because it happens, it's tradition that it happens every year, so that makes it all right. No, it doesn't for me. For me, it's absolute incompetence. It's just no matter what the board do now, no matter what the recruitment team do just now, I think it's failed. Right, Celtic as a team and a club might succeed. We will. I've no doubt that we should win the league and we will qualify for the Champions League. But the point is, these players, this quality, should have been in earlier. It should have been in to give Brendan a chance to work with the players, to give them a chance to gel with the other players, to give them a chance to adjust to the culture, to adjust to the city, to adjust to the club. Now we're bringing players in last minute that you need to kind of throw right in right away without. How in any normal world is that the right preparation for bringing people in last minute? It's going to get to the stage next week where we're hitting the reeds kind of panic shopping when we're going for Brillo pads and a bottle of pineapple aid. The whole thing is absolutely bananas. And I try to come on here positive when you're thinking, oh, it's all right. It's tradition. It's all right. We do that every year. And it's as if there's firecrackers going off in my head because that is simply not acceptable for us just to accept that it happens every year. So we'll just carry on with that. It's like, it is the definition of insanity. You continue to do the same thing again and again expecting a different outcome. Our outcome might be success just now, but what's stopping us? Brendan and Callum kept saying that we want the best version of our club possible. Are we really preparing that much? Are we preparing and giving us the best version of Celtic we can? No, at present. And for us going into the last 10 days or last week of a transfer window where we're desperate, we need two wingers, a striker and a backup left back. We're showing our cards to other teams as well. They're going to be like, oh, they need players. We'll get a wee bit more extra money after them. It's just no the right way to work. It's not the right way to do business. And it's the fans are getting massively frustrated. And most importantly of all, you can see that the manager and our captain are massively frustrated and they just look disillusioned. So it's something that needs to change. Like, we can't carry on like that. But it seems to be happening every year, so that makes it all right.
I think in terms of that, mate, I think in terms of the rest of the transfer stuff, I think we will obviously touch on it next week more in depth. I think that's where I think we'll touch on it again, Daniel, is see how we go on now next week, and hopefully we get maybe one or two in before the derby game that can play as well and help the team. But obviously FC Kairat for Kazakhstan, Daniel, there is one player you mentioned, I don't even know it. Again, it's maybe my ignorance, but obviously I don't, like Brendan says, he's fresher. He doesn't really know about Kazakhstan football. He obviously knows about this team in Astana, but obviously you mentioned they've got a very bright prospect that Chelsea are looking at as well, so he could be maybe the one that we need to look out for tonight.
Yeah, definitely. So they've got this young player, 17 years of age. He's already the captain of the club, Dastan Sapiev. So far, he's played 20 games this season in the Kazakhstani league and he's got 8 goals. He's scored in every round of Champions League qualification so far this season. And when you look at him, he does seem to be a very, very bright prospect for them. And he's attracting interest to the likes of Chelsea already. So he's a very, very talented footballer by the looks of it. So I think if there is anybody for them who is the one to watch out for, it would definitely be him, because I don't think it's very often that we see a 17-year-old player captaining a team. But not only that, he's their starting striker. So he will be the pinnacle of their team. He will be their big threat. So he's definitely one to look out for.
Like Daniel says there, Alan, and I've obviously said there, we don't really know much about the team in the league. We don't get to see everything. I've seen a wee small bit of the Bratislava game. We need to be honest, they didn't look great. We should be getting this game flying in terms of we should be winning this game. Let's make no bones about it. If we do not win this game tonight, there will be a backlash. It will be a bit embarrassing for us, even though it's European football. Like Daniel and yourself and I've said, nothing's a gimme. JP's even mentioned it as well in previous podcasts. You're no divine right to win any game of football. You still need to turn up. You still need to do your job. But realistically, Alan, even though that boy does seem to be a superstar. Again, I don't know, I've never seen the boy play, but I've read reports about him. Like Daniel says, we've heard a lot about him. He's got to Chelsea. I know Chelsea signed players well and early, but to spend money on a guy at 17 who's captains, they obviously see him as maybe the future for Chelsea. I don't know, but we should be, no matter how good this boy is, I think Brown Water mentions a guy called Alexander or Alex. I think he's Belarusian or something. He's a 30-year-old centre back. Like you said, Alan made Maeda, man, if he's up there, and no matter how good this guy is at 38, 37, guys made his legs, and even your legs, it should be capable of dismantling them, mate.
Yeah, we've not got a great deal of knowledge, obviously, for what part of the world that they play in, their domestic football. You look at all the evidence that we've got. I know Daniel's mentioned that they have got a very promising player that whether he's signed for Chelsea or he's going to Chelsea, but I think you look at promising players for Chelsea before, and they took Islam Farouz phase, and we get a certain Charlie Masonda up as well. So
Yeah.
it's not always, but I think you look overall at the evidence we've got in regards to the quality of the opposition we're going to be facing. I think that this is a game we should be winning comfortably. This is a tie that we probably should be winning comfortably. If we've got any aspirations of doing similar or doing better than we did last year in the new Champions League format, then this is a game we should be winning very comfortably. Because there's one thing I'm certain of: if we kind of put to bed a team to Kazakhstan in a two-legged affair, then there's bigger issues than we thought. This will probably had a very favourable draw, to be honest. I know that the actual team have had a favourable draw. The travelling is the ideal, but this is a game we should be winning kind of hands down. I would expect a kind of relatively comfortable result tonight. We can't take any team for granted. We can't underestimate any team, but I'm sure with the kind of the elite manager we've got and the kind of backroom staff, I'm sure they've kind of prepared the team for any hurdles that we might face. But I can't see anything other than a comfortable Celtic victory tonight. I just looking at every bit of evidence we've got at present, unless there's something that we're all missing, the bookmakers are missing, every Celtic fan's missing, then this should be that we're kind of putting to bed the tie tonight at home. So let's hope we can kind of follow through with that. We're going to need kind of individual performances and a great performance for the team, but I think we're more than capable of that.
I think obviously Daniel, like we've spoken about previously, kind of all summer. Kieran Tierney, I know he's maybe not 100% fit yet. The question is, I actually spoke to my old man about this last night as well, and obviously we'll touch on near the end about Anamura and stuff, one or two wee things about that near the end. But if Kieran Tierney's going off at 60 minutes, 65 minutes at the moment, and then you're playing Liam Scales at left back, then I don't think we can keep doing that, because as much as Liam's okay, he's an okay footballer for Celtic. He's done well since he came from, obviously where he's came from, Shamrock Rovers, potentially leaving the club. He's definitely not for me. Other fans might find different, which is absolutely fine. I don't find him comfortable at left back at all. I don't find him the best comfortable at centre back. I mean left back. So as much as tonight might be okay, if Tierney goes off to play Scales at left back, but I think these are the nights that Kieran Tierney we bought him for. This is the quality. I think we'll see the quality tonight of him as well, bombing up and down that line. We've seen him previously the last few games against Falkirk as well doing it. So again, he's another few days fitter he'll be. So I'm expecting a good performance for him tonight. And I know we mentioned the winger situation might not be great, but with him behind, if it's Maeda, if it's Forrest, if it's Yang, whoever it is, it plays out wide. It gives him a wee bit of comfortability that he's going to be there, he can defend, and they can bottom up and down. And I like to call it cheating. As a winger, you can stay up front. You don't need to defend as much, because you've got an absolute, in my opinion, a world-class left back to cover you, and it lets the winger just do his job and not have to think about coming back all the time.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen already the big step up in quality that Kieran's bringing to the team. If we can get 60, 70 minutes out of him, then that would be good. But if we're seeing Scales coming off the bench or moving, if he starts or whatever, if he does end up at left back, he then becomes a target for the opposition attack, because we've seen it previously in the years gone by. He is a target when he is playing either centre half or left back for teams. Does he have performances where he's very, very solid and steps up? Yep. But there's also times where he doesn't. So if he's getting constantly targeted down that left-hand side and he is playing that left-back role, hopefully we can see him and it's another one of these good performances. But yeah, we don't want to keep running that risk of what if he is put out to left-back because Kieran's not fit enough, and then say we do lose, we're 2-0 up, say we do lose a cheap goal, do you know what I mean? It's a risk that we can only run for so long, and the quicker Kieran gets back to full fitness, the better, and then he can play full games.
I think, Alan, like Daniel says, in terms of KT, we do need him fit at the moment. We do need him to be playing probably majority of the games, but hopefully you're maybe feeling off for up or so by 55, 60 minutes, and you can have the luxury take them off. But again, Alan, I think the quality of him, I think a lot of fans who have maybe not been to games this year yet, and maybe this is their first time, maybe due to holidays or work, etc. I think this will be a game where you'll maybe see a even better Kieran Taylor than but obviously I've seen recently. He looked good against who is it we played at Celtic Park? No Falkirk. St Mirren, sorry. He looked good against St Mirren, but he knew he's a few weeks fitter. He should be a wee bit stronger, obviously, on his legs, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he'll go tonight, mate, because for me, he's a world class player on this park. I know you've got a Tati who's different class, McGregor's different class, but for me, if you talk about his age and everything, I think he's a bit of added class that should help us, mate.
We should be getting him in his prime as well, definitely. He did, it's a major step up for great servant for the club, but Greg Taylor, you can see the difference already, I think. As Daniel touched upon, it's when somebody comes on for him as well, but I think that it shows how kind of the lack of preparation we've had, that we've probably known that Kieran's not going to play 90 minutes game after game. I think the sports science team behind the scenes would have known that, and that calls for kind of a leading somebody to back Kieran up. I don't think that Scales is that guy. Obviously, we'll say a wee bit about Inamura as well. It's clear to see that he's not the guy. Brendan's interview speaks volumes about that. I know there was people that were kind of pleasantly surprised that we paid kind of 250 grand and he played a couple of decent passes in kind of pre-season, but I thought what I seen there wasn't really good enough to step up to that level. And I think Brendan, this has been a signing that he's probably not made, because I don't see why you would bring in somebody at that age just to ship them out on loan. It might possibly work, but I think it's imperative that we keep Kieran Tierney fit at present, because if Kieran Tierney picked up a suspension or an injury, then would you be comfortable going forward keeping kind of Lyle Scales at left back for a number of games? I don't think I would be, but we just need to kind of see what happens. But hopefully, the last few games and kind of Kieran playing tonight, hopefully he can kind of build his fitness up, and hopefully it's not too long before we see him completing 90 minutes.
So your message to our Kazakhstan rivals, how you doing, Nara man? Hope you're well. Hope you're well. He says he or she, excuse my French, is a Astana supporter. But on the Euro Cups we do support our rivals, FC Kairat, just to keep to listen what Scottish fans think about the tie. Nara man, thanks for watching. If there's anything that you know about FC Kairat, let us know. But thanks for tuning in. Obviously, Daniel, before we touch on your team lines, mate, sorry, we do need to mention Inamura. Obviously, Brendan mentioned that he presser. We also mentioned Tilly and Welsh as well. But Inamura, he was quite blunt, not up to the level. I was pretty surprised. He was quite blunt. If I'm in the mood, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, what have I signed here for? I'm not going to play. Obviously, he did say I will assess him and maybe go on loan. He's obviously fought. He's done okay against Cork and Queen's Park. Some of what I says doesn't matter. It's friendlies. Wait till you play against Falkirk at home or Rangers away or European games, and he's quite bluntly says he's not up to the level yet. For me, I don't know if he's just sick it now or he's just because he's just been honest now, not up to the level. But again, does that then question the recruitment team? Does that then question the process? Because he's right away gone, no, Osman's in the squad, but I doubt it. Well, he'll be on the bench tonight. I think Osman, because I think you're allowed so many on the bench now. But can you see Osman playing much? He might go on loan. Doohan's not going to really play much. So that is only really KT and Nigrin that were brought in so far will help us tonight. But in terms of Nigrin, I think we can all say that from his signing, he's maybe signed it off and hope the recruitment team have got one right. But it's pretty concerning if Hamamura that he's quite bluntly says that in their uncertain terms, you're no great to know, mate.
Yeah, I think we've seen that kind of a bluntness before from Brendan, with the likes of Lagerbielka and Odin Holm. So we have seen him come out and say before that, listen, you're just not up to it. And
Marion Shevd.
Aye,
Marion Shevd, aye.
Freeze fed. Aye, so we have seen him doing that before. So I'm not really surprised by it, but if you're in Amura, again, it then begs the question, well, why have I came here? Why have I signed if I'm not up to the manager's standards, if I'm just going to be punted out on loan? Do you know what I mean? It's a confusing one because he did when he joined the club, he did say he won't be in the first team, and then for the friendlies he gave us a look at him. And then obviously when competitive football start, he's just been flung to the back of the queue. So it's a wee bit of a confusing one, but yeah, we've seen him be as blunt as that before. So it wasn't really a surprise, because like Alan says, although he showed glimpses in the Mura, I think he didn't really meet the standard of what we were looking for in that position. So I'm not really surprised by Brendan being as ruthless as that, but yeah, so in for Anamura.
You're obviously Marco Tilio and Welsh. We found out that there's reasons why they can't go just yet due to international loans, etc. So one of them might go on loan, one might obviously be sold, but they're obviously not going to play. He's kind of said the two of them are going to go at some point. They're not going to really play in his team, so we'll see how that turns out. But Aaron, obviously your team's tonight. There's probably going to be one or two. Is it Maeda? Is it Ida? Is Jan going to come in? Or is it going to be Forrest? So does Trusty play over Scales? Does Pusey come in into the fold? We don't know what's going to happen, but what's your take on tonight's team, mate, and how do you think the score will end up?
Tell you one thing, it'll be Welsh or Tilio anyway. Jesus. Right, I'll just tell you what team lineup I think it'll be. I would like it to be different, but I think circumstances are going to dictate the way we play. I think Schmeichel in goal. Alistair Johnston right back. I think our centre backs will be Carter Vickers, and I think I don't like saying this, but I think it will be Leo Scales. I would probably think that Trusty has maybe done enough over pre-season and his performance in the last game there on Friday. But I think it will be Carter Vickers and William Scales. Obviously, Kieran Tierney. I think in midfield will be Callum McGregor, Rio Hitati. I think Arnie Engels has done enough. I think he was man of the match at the weekend there. I think Arnie Engels should start. I would be either way if Ligren did play. But I think everybody was really impressed with Arnie Engels against Falkirk. So it would be Callum McGregor, Rio Hitati, and Arnie Engels for me. And then I think it'll be James Forrest, Dyson Maeda with Adam Ida up front. And I'll go with Celtic 4-0.
And yourself, Daniel, obviously, I think the biggest thing will be, is it Trusty or Scales, or is it either a Maeda? for me anyway, that's probably the two talking points. Engels is it Negrin, there's maybe three. So maybe there is some wee decisions that the manager has to make. But like Alan says, I think no matter who we play tonight, if we don't win either convincingly in terms of performance wise or we don't get a positive result, then let's just say I don't think it'll be the best of feelings after the game. But let's just hope that it does go the way we want it to go.
Yeah, definitely. There's a massive, massive emphasis on tonight and getting that big positive result. And in saying that, that's why I think we'll see obviously Casper in goals. The back four will be Alistair Johnson on the right, Kieran on the left. I do think Austin Trusty will get the nod to play beside Carter Vickers tonight. I think he's shown enough in pre-season. Played very well against Falkirk as well. So I think he will get the nod to step up into this big game. In the midfield, we'll obviously see Callum in that role. It will be Rio Hatate. But for me, it's the big toss-up. Do you go Engels or do you go Negrin? For me, it's Arnie Engels because we've seen him there last season. He looked more comfortable. And I think Brendan might not want to throw Negrin in. Obviously, he started quite a lot already. He started already, Negrin.
Benjamin Negrin.
Aye, mate. He's gone.
Benji.
He started already, so but I do think it will be a big one for Arnie Engels. Played well on Friday, so it's a big moment for him. And then front three, I do think we'll see Adamida start through the middle. On the left will be Dyson Maeda, and then on the right hand side, I do think it will be Yang who starts. I would prefer it to be James Forrest, but I think likely just to get that sharp electric start, we will see Yang with that pace starting on the right hand side.
I think in terms of the decision about Engels, Scales, Trusty, or either a Maeda for me is probably, like you said, I think they're the three ones, but I think the back four for me, I'm the same as you, Daniel. I think it will be Schmeichel, Tierney, Johnson, Trusty, and Vickers. I think Trusty was really good last year in Europe. I think that should bode well for him. I have thought he was really good last year against Atlanta as well. And I know Scales was good as well, but I think Trusty's, for me, I'm just more comfortable with trusting the ball, and I think when you leave Scales in the ball too much, it can maybe it slows the game down for me. And I think tonight we want a fast start, we want the game to be quick, and I think Trusty's better with that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Dane Murray's playing as well, because he spoke very highly in his press yesterday about Dane Murray. So who knows what the manager's going to do, because he was going to throw him in against Rangers before Nerofsky came in and played well, so who knows what he's going to do. But that's my back four, Trusty and with Vickers. Midfield three, I think Engels will play with Hatate and McGregor. I thought Engels was really good against Falkirk. His deliveries was different class, world class, I call it. Obviously, he's been working with Gavin Stratton apparently with his deliveries and his set piece play, so they can be vital for us tonight, because I don't think anybody in the team delivers a ball like him. I don't think we've got anybody else in the team like him in terms of set piece delivery. So I think Engels has got to play. Experience as well, like you mentioned, he's been here a year now. He's played in these big games before. So for me, Engels has got to play. The forward line, I think it was pretty ominous for me about either than he playing Friday. But I thought that was for me, that's unless he's been told behind the scenes, listen, you're playing on Wednesday. That tonight's the kind of run out, but I'm going to go with, because of how shot shy we have been in the final third. I think for me, my header's going to be up top. I think it will be Forrest and Yang. I'm agreeing with you, Daniel. I might not be Yang's biggest fan, but the pace that he'll bring, Forrest experience, I think that's for me. I'm what Alan says earlier. I could be absolutely wrong in this, but if he does play, then it's a massive game for him tonight to get the goals and put a performance up. Because if it doesn't do it tonight, it doesn't do it next week, then it could be, listen, another striker's on the door, you'll be sitting on the bench for the rest of the season, because this is a game where he's got to step up now. There's been a lot of criticism of him recently. His all-round gameplay. We've only scored a few goals from the outfield players. It's not been the strikers recently. I know my header scored, but he wasn't playing up front at the time. So, but let's see how we go tonight, lads. But I'm going to go with a 3-4-0 job tonight. I'm pretty confident we'll get the job done. I did watch him briefly against Bratislava. He didn't look great. But let's just hope and perform tonight and we get the result. Until we'll be back on tomorrow. After the game, not tomorrow, tonight after the game. Tomorrow, we will be update the socials. We will be back on tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I think. If you got the game tonight, stay safe, enjoy the game. Don't drink too many lager. If you go to the game, enjoy yourself. Hopefully, the team will get us a good performance, a good victory, and we can also look forward to a result, which is the biggest thing. But if you do like and subscribe to the channel, you will get all this latest content. Please like and subscribe. It is free. We are on TikTok. We are on Twitter. Naraman says, I got you guys. What do you think the final score was unsatisfactory? We'll touch on this before we go. For me, unsatisfactory would be 1-0. A defeat, anything, 2 goals minimum, I would say for me. Naraman, don't you feel that, Daniel? But for me, 3-0's got to be the score to go over with. But 2-0 I'll take. But I think you've got to go with 3 goals, mate, tonight.
Yeah, definitely. 2-0 is not a given with a return leg. So, obviously, any sort of defeat would be massively unsatisfactory.
The Sharks in it if that happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Boy. That will be taking news if we get beat.
Any sort of defeat would be unsatisfactory, but in an ideal world, you're looking to go over there with a 3-goal lead just to give you that comfortability, especially with the amount of travelling that needs done to get over there.
And yourself, Alan?
I think it needs to be a 2-goal advantage minimum. I think that gives us a cushion. I think it might be more than that, but I think it needs to be minimum with a 2-goal cushion. I think for us to be safely over there. I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably I would say that's probably the scoreline I would go with. At least 3 goals. But if you are going to the game, let's enjoy the game. Hopefully, you come back with a good performance. We will be back tomorrow night. We'll see you all then, and hopefully, we're speaking in a positive result. Daniel, Alan, thanks for your time this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the game.
Well,
If you're watching it, what's happening?
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail, aye. But enjoy the rest of your day, guys and girls. We'll see you all very soon. Enjoy the game and hail, hail.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you!
In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic!
Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!